Vacant inventory on the U.S. housing market is surging right now entering the fall of 2022, a sign that the housing crash in America is getting even worse. In fact, it's getting really bad in certain parts of the country.
Just had terrible news about the housing market with a complete disastrous miss in the amount of new home sales. Folks, the real estate market is at the beginning of a downtrend. The writing is so clearly on the wall that real estate prices are going to be negative year over year when we look back in 2023 to 2022. Now it's just a matter of how much.
Recent supply figures show that although there are more properties available for sale, they are taking longer to sell. The housing market is experiencing an overhang as a result. We are not in a crisis. The time to sell is similar to the worst of 2021, and supply has only returned to levels from 2020. However, this occurred during the summer, a normally strong housing season, so things undoubtedly went south and could get worse over the ensuing few months. Well, let's hear Nick's current assessment on the housing market.
In particular, take a look at this map. We're looking at the 50 U.S. states on the basis of how much inventory has increased on the housing market over the last year. And I want you to pay special attention, if you're a home buyer or real estate investor, pay special attention to the metro areas or the states in yellow, which have the biggest surge of inventory and vacant inventory on the U.S. housing market. And you can see the west coast of America is an absolute mess. Whether we're in Idaho, Nevada, Utah, Arizona, even in California, we're just seeing inventory surge out of control. And now I'm just going to show you a couple cities where this housing crash is getting really, really bad. I mean, when I looked at this data, I had to do a double take, this data from Realtor.com on this surge in inventory, because just like 4 to 5 months ago, inventory was so low. Like, remember all those people who said inventory is going to stay low forever? Well, in the cities I'm about to show you, that is no longer the case. In fact, in certain cities, everyone, we are now setting records. Like, for instance, in Boise, Idaho, we now have a record number of homes on the market in August to September 2022, according to Realtor.com. Like, literally in the 6-year history of Realtor.com's inventory data, Boise has never had this many homes on the market. Same thing in Las Vegas, Nevada. We're now up to over 10,000 homes, many of which are vacant. Vacant inventory on the Vegas housing market. Highest level of all time, according to Realtor.com. I mean, just a couple months ago, inventory was super low, and then bam, it exploded. Another market where this is happening is Austin, Texas. I mean, look at this data, everyone. Look at how the inventory is going absolutely vertical here. I mean, this is insane. 8,800 homes on the market in Austin. It's tripled in the span of a couple months. And in 1 month, we're going to have a new record in Austin. Same thing in Phoenix. So these are the markets where the vacant inventory is surging the most. A new set of housing markets that are crashing based off this Realtor.com inventory data. As I said in the beginning, if we look at the Southeast, this was a market, this was an area that was like pretty tight still over the last couple months. Well, now the inventory is exploding in the Southeast. I know I got a lot of you out there in the Southeast, and let's just take a look so you can see the top 10 metro areas with the biggest surge in inventory. You know, we see Phoenix at number 1, right? You all know Phoenix is crashing. Everyone knows that at this point. But look at number 2. Raleigh, North Carolina coming in at number 2. I don't think a lot of you were expecting Raleigh to be the number 2 biggest inventory grower year over year. And if we kind of zoom in and look at what's going on in North Carolina, South Carolina, I know I got a lot of you home buyers out here. Raleigh, plus 164% inventory year over year. A lot of that inventory is vacant because of the huge amount of home building and the huge amount of investor flipping. So that vacant inventory, it's going to keep sitting. It's going to keep piling up in Raleigh. So you got to be careful. If you're a home buyer in Raleigh right now, you got to wait because it's going to get even better for you in coming months. But what's interesting, you know, we can see in Durham, we have a pretty big increase in inventory. If we go down to Sumter, South Carolina, we have a big increase in inventory. If we go to Charlotte, we have a pretty big increase in inventory, 64% year over year in Charlotte. So this is a pocket of the Southeast, which, you know, wasn't really too deep into the crash a couple months ago, but now this crash is happening in the Southeast. If we look at inventory by metro area, and the increase. You know, again, it's the yellow areas have the biggest increase in inventory. Because Florida is a housing market, everyone, where, you know, I think people are kind of like trying to convince themselves that the boom is going to last forever. and that people are going to move to Florida forever, and that Florida's never going to crash, even though Florida crashed severely in the last housing crash. Well, let's take a look at this, everyone. Lakeland up 140% on inventory year over year. I mean, that's a wild increase in inventory. Northport up 130% on inventory. In Tampa up over 100%. So inventory is doubled year over year in Tampa. Much of it is vacant, and really it's like the southwest coast of Florida where the inventory is really piling up. It's up only by 9% in Miami. Miami's going to kind of be like the last market in Florida to go. But here's what actually has me really excited about Florida's housing market right now and its housing crash is that Florida is now just entering the period over the next 6 months where inventory typically surges. Like in most markets, entering the fall, inventory will start to go down or will stabilize, which we're starting to see. Inventory growth is slowing. But in Florida, it's a bit different. Florida's inventory booms in the winter, typically. So this growth that we're seeing in Florida's inventory today, it is going to skyrocket even more over the winter, and we're going to just see like an absolute ridiculous surge of empty homes sitting on the market, price cuts. If you're a home buyer in Florida, I hear a lot from you guys out there. If you're a home buyer in Florida, definitely wait. I mean, especially if you're on the western coast of Florida, the deals are going to get better for you into the future.
As inventory continues to build up in the housing market, the U.S. housing crash is becoming worse. Even worse, a large portion of this inventory is vacant as investors leave the market and home builders struggle to sell new homes. Idaho, Arizona, Nevada, and Utah now have the largest real estate inventory surge. Cities with large populations, such as Phoenix, Boise, Salt Lake City, and Las Vegas, are particularly heavily hit. Mainly in the Southeast, sellers are having trouble selling their properties in states like Florida. The largest increases in inventory are occurring in metro areas like Tampa, Lakeland, and Northport.
New single-family homes, home sales, fell 12.6% in July. That's down to an annualized pace of 511,000 homes of new homes that would sell every year, compared to the expectation of 575,000. It's a big miss, and it's the sixth time this year we've not only had a decline, but a miss. And it's the slowest pace since 2016. Construction has slowed, cancellations are up, applications for mortgages are plummeting, and inventory is finally starting to skyrocket. In fact, if you take a look at housing supply, take a look at this particular chart here. This is the new single-family home supply chart. We are back at 2009 and 2008 levels. This is not a sustainable chart, and it's not a sustainable area to be in within the housing market. You can see that here, we had a peak of about $395,000 for resale homes. This is not just new construction that's seeing price reductions, but it's resale homes. We had a peak closing price of $395,000 throughout the entire country. That is now down over 5% already in just 3 months. We are on a similar trajectory as what we have seen at the early parts of 2006 and 2007, when the real estate market began to turn. Not only are institutions like Wall Street buyers pausing their purchases, but you've got companies like Redfin and Opendoor dumping their inventory because they realize they have too much of it. By some accounts, Opendoor has as much of 20% of the active listings on the market right now in Phoenix, Arizona. That's insane. That's asking for massive, massive drops in areas like Phoenix. You've got in areas like Boise, Idaho, which was considered a Zoom town, over 70% of listings have a price reduction. In my opinion, the critical threshold for real estate is anytime the 10-year Treasury yield, which you could just go to cnbc.com, click on bonds at the top, and then click on 10-year. Anytime you see this number over 2.75%, it means we're going to have interest rates at such a high level, somewhere around 5.5% to 6%, that we are going to see real estate prices come under pressure.
According to NAHB survey, there were more than 800,000 single-family houses under construction in the U.S. in June, more than at any other point since October 2006. Unsold inventory has increased significantly, in part as a result of labor constraints and supply chain issues that clogged the production stream. Builders are already reducing starts as the economy's future outlook for clarity is uncertain. In addition, fewer building permits are being requested, which, according to government data, reached a 2-year low in June for single-family homes. Not all markets are rapidly cooling, but in the epidemic boomtowns, where builders flock to fulfill demand from out-of-state arrivals who frequently bid up prices. Thanks for watching till the end. If you find this useful, like, share, comment, and subscribe to help this channel.